Charter Committee, and today is February the 19th, and we do not have a quorum, so we will discuss but not vote today.
All right.
And I will turn it over to you to discuss your bill.
Thank you. So we have the resolution for considering charter amendments that so far we've got, this is our second and final opportunity for the term to propose charter amendments. There are 3 of them currently. That could change over time. 2 of them are related to ranked choice voting, and the third is Councilman Cooper's, and I'm not going to attempt to describe it. My hope will be, I'm pretty sure that it's the second meeting in April that we have to vote on this by. So what I'm going to do on the floor tonight is just talk briefly about the amendments, my 2 amendments. Seek to defer it 2 meetings. Dewey Brandstetter, chair of the Charter Review Commission, is probably going to call a meeting for early to mid-March for them to discuss it for the first time, and we can have committee meeting of this committee in the intervening time as well. At the second meeting in March, which is when it'll come up after tonight's deferral, I'll provide an update and then defer to the first meeting in April. First meeting in April, do the same, describe whatever changes happened. Defer again, that'll technically be an indefinite deferral, but then it'll come back for the second meeting in April for us to fully debate and vote on whatever charter amendments we'd like to consider for the August 1st ballot.
Sounds good.
May I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
You might tell me that you don't know, but I'm guessing maybe you do. I read, but did not really absorb a story out of something in Memphis being held to be not allowed on instant runoff voting. How does that interact with your proposal?
So that was an administrative opinion from Mark Owens, the state coordinator of elections, who I have a lot of respect for. His opinion is basically, in 2017, before we considered this before, he opined that that ranked choice voting was not consistent with state law. It's one of those things where you talk to different attorneys, you get a different opinion. I would also note that there was legislation proposed last year, state legislation to prohibit ranked choice voting, which seems to be a tacit admission that it's legal under state law. And that bill was not passed. They killed that bill. The opinion, that was an administrative opinion from Memphis. They needed to exhaust their administrative options before going any farther with it because they're supposed to be using it this fall. The folks on the other side of it disagree with Mr. Goins.
So now we can go to Chancery Court there or here to get a ruling?
I believe it will need to go here.
And so the proposal, like I noticed you had sort of a savings clause in there that if it's not allowed under Tennessee law, we just revert to the current way to do it. But if Mr. Goins was right, then the proposal would not be allowed?
If Mr. Goins is found to be correct, then ranked choice, then there would need to be a change in state law to allow ranked choice voting. And there's been discussion about a local option bill, something along those lines. So we'll see kind of how things
I
play
assume
out.
your argument is going to end up being still a win-win, pass it. If it's not legal, then we keep our...
Exactly. It doesn't put us in any kind of difficult position.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't speak in complete sentences. I was trying to convey, I assume your point would be that you would want it passed even with the question mark due to litigation in Memphis on the theory that if Mr. Goins' position wins, we're no worse off. We still have our existing procedure. If Mr. Goins is found to be wrong, then we will have chosen a new procedure that is built into the charter.
Correct, yeah. The amendments have a specific line in them that say in the event that state law, that this becomes repugnant to state law, then we'll use our runoff procedures as we do now.
And then I'm sorry, just one more. And so the proposal would be instant runoff voting for at-larges too, so would there never be a runoff on at-larges?
Correct.
And so how many people, you just vote for 5, or?
You can rank as far down as you want. So you're voting in the same style. Instead of having to go pick 5, you're still ranking people 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it uses a tallying method called single transferable vote, where all of your votes above the threshold, that you create a threshold just like you do now for what it takes to get elected. Then above that threshold, your votes are redistributed to other candidates based on your voters' second choices, so that there's no harm in voting for somebody. There's less gaming of the system and trying theories.
You could only pick 5, or?
No, you can keep ranking.
So you could, and so then the voting machines will let you rank 1 through 26, for example, last time?
Yes. Yeah, the new voting machines will be in use this fall, and Jeff Roberts has confirmed that the machines can handle any system that's out there.
The one thing that's on my mind about that is with the at-large ballot being so unruly. Like, I would, even though my name is in the middle, out of 26 candidates, alphabetically in the middle, out of 26 candidates, I was like 4th from the bottom.
Yeah.
And I would really hate to be the end of the alphabet when people like went through and picked out, their top whatever, and then I'd be afraid of somebody just going with the rest, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and end of the alphabet sort of gets higher.
Yeah, well, if they did that under the current system, those folks wouldn't get any consideration either if they just got to vote for their 5, and I tend to think that people aren't going to just keep ranking for fun once they get past people that they know or care about. But if so, it's low enough that it basically has the effect of not having ranked at all.
Yeah, it's just being 22nd out of 26.
Seems to have worked.
Well, I'm just getting in the middle of your conversation, but just wondering, would that work better in areas where there's a lower number of council people, where we've got 40 here? And I know what Bob is saying in terms of at large. Would that matter because we got so many people? I don't really know. And then I'm going to tell you the other thing that concerns me about changing the charter is that if we change the charter and the state can preempt us, then what's the purpose of us going through that whole process? And especially when we look at something like this Community Oversight Board. That to me, and it costs money. I mean, the race in District 29, we just had this race. And now we've got a runoff for it. And then they're going to have to run again in a couple of months, will they not?
That's exactly right. With internet voting, they wouldn't have to have this runoff. Folks would have.
And all of that costs money.
Right, so this will be a significant cost savings.
Right.
Yeah, ranked choice voting will save a lot of money.
And it seems like that was one of the things that you were talking about when we first mentioned this. We're talking about the way District 29 was going to be because of Karen's moving to the Register of Deeds position.
I think the District 29 runoff is one of the best arguments for it because, it's not a high-cost runoff because it's just one district. But what was it, like the 3 candidates or 3 material candidates, and it was 44, 42, and 6%, something like that?
Exactly. Had we done ranked choice voting, there would be somebody seated in District 29 right now, and we wouldn't be waiting another 5 weeks and spending more money to do it. They would have their representation. Because those who voted for those 2 candidates that each got a couple percent each would have gone to their second choice without having to go out and vote a second time. And another 5 weeks goes by, and we lost some polling places last year because we had so many elections, and they got tired of holding elections so much.
I know District 1 was very...
Yeah, 7, I think.
Yes.
Do you have a determination on how much this is actually going to save the city per year during an election?
Amendment A would save probably about $750,000 to $1 million for the regular general elections. Then you save, if you have a special countywide election runoff, you would save about $650,000 there, and then district runoffs can range anywhere from I think $35,000 to $60,000, which would go away. For y'all who have come in a little bit late, I was talking about what kind of that the goal
I
would
do
be to
detect a
vote.
quorum now, so we could actually vote.
We've got a quorum even without Bob.
Good.
We need to try to vote by the second meeting in April. So we prefer 2 meetings now, let the committee and commission meet in the interim, and then do single meeting deferrals so that we can provide updates and have conversations leading up to a vote in late.
Do amendments have to go back in front of the charter?
Yeah, it'll go to the
Okay,
commission.
so if we make any tweaks, it has to go, if it's substantive, it has to go back, right?
Yeah, I talked to Mr. Brandstetter, and I think that he would be looking to get the commission together early in March for a preliminary meeting, like last time, where they provided some suggestions and let us tweak our proposals, and then go back to them for a vote when we know it's in its final form and it's about ready for a vote here.
Gotcha.
So if we have any other charter amendment changes, we need to get it in
Okay.
at least by the first couple of days in March. Okay. Well, we do have a quorum now, so we will go ahead and... Oh, yeah.
This may not be appropriate, but you can tell me that if it is. I appreciate the very careful language you've put in about being repugnant to state law. Is there an effort to get state law to change? Is there a chance of that?
Well,
It's not going to happen this year, but next year maybe?
they could make it explicitly legal or illegal this year in this legislative session. Who knows? Right now, it's going to go through. There's been an opinion from the coordinator of elections who also expressed the same opinion a couple of years ago, and now it'll be fleshed out because there are compelling arguments that suggest that that his conclusion might not be consistent with other people's conclusion. And what I pointed out is a kind of attempted evidence of that is the fact that there was legislation last year in the legislature to prohibit ranked choice voting, which seems to indicate that people up there felt like it is legal now. That bill died, which seems an indication that there wasn't interest in killing ranked choice voting as a whole. But it's a new legislature this year.
Is there a motion?
I move for 2 meeting. Move for 2 meeting deferral.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. It passes for a 2-meeting deferral,
Thank
and
you.
this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.